Hello and welcome back to the Matrix Greenfield Podcast. I'm your host, Hill Marie Hutcheon, and today's guest is a visionary who blends creativity, global strategy, and manufacturing expertise to deliver high-end solutions around the world. Gary Young is the founder and CEO of AVELA Global, a company that has been helping businesses source and develop products from Asia since 2002. Under Gary's leadership, AVELA has expanded into 6 global offices, including Dubai. With a background in media, branding, and commercial photography, Gary brings a unique and human-centric approach to manufacturing and global trade. Gary, welcome and thank you so much for joining me today.
Hill Marie, my pleasure. It's great to be here. My first Dubai podcast.
Brilliant. So let's start and talk about your journey. Can you please tell our audience a little bit about yourself and your background?
Let's see, 67 years old. I've had this company since 2001, and I made my first trip to China in 2002. Previously, the company was an advertising agency, and I wasn't satisfied with that kind of work. I just didn't know how many more billboards or radio spots or TV spots or annual reports I could do. I was bored with that company and I needed something new and fresh. What I did was I joined this group called Vistage. It's a CEO group, support group, and they're international and there's 2 chapters here. And they were taking this trip to China to kind of look at how businesses were running in China in 2002. And I went. I didn't know why I was going because advertising was my deal, but I just thought it would be a vacation for me and my wife, and off we went to China. And we didn't do the tourist stuff. We looked at factories and we talked to business owners and things like that. And I left that trip thinking that I just witnessed the freshman class of entrepreneurs in this young country. And I found that to be a powerful thought. And the more that kind of weighed on me, the more I said, I'm going to switch my whole business around and I'm going to go from advertising to product sourcing because I understand the pains that my current clients have in the markets that they serve. And so with that idea, I went to my biggest client and said, what if I could give you twice the point of purchase for half the price? Would you be interested? And he said, yeah, I sure would be interested. And then I'm like, oh, wow, now I have to figure this out. So with $5,000 in my pocket and meeting the tour guide from the original trip, off we went on this adventure. And that was 23 years ago now, soon to be, I think, 23, almost 24 now. And now we have offices in China, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Mumbai or India, and now a sales office here in Dubai. And that's the short version.
Incredible. So from advertising agency to realizing that you were getting bored, needing a new challenge, joining this group and taking the plunge to make that trip to China. You've been leading AVELA Global for over 20 years. Now you mentioned this trip that you took to China and you were going to be able to offer something different to your clients. What was the original vision behind the company and how has it evolved?
So the original vision was to fulfill the client's needs and go out and find those needs or those pains and see what I could do to alleviate those. I had a mentor of mine who said, and I love this quote, he said, figure out what you do best, do those things, and get other people to do the other things. And for my clients, they had supply chain issues. And I just said, this is something that I can do when I open up my office in Shanghai. I can fulfill those needs and let my clients get back to what they need to be doing, which was running their companies, marketing and advertising and selling. So that was the original concept.
Absolutely. Excellent idea. Find what people need and fulfill that rather than creating something and trying to shove it down people's throats. And that's exactly what you did, is you opened the office, then you went and asked them, what's your pain point? What can I help you with? Then you had to go find the solution, but you already had the office and the setup in China to go and source the solution for whatever their pain point was. And sort of turned the whole system upside down by first finding out what's the problem and then going to find the solution for them. And it wasn't your problem. It was your client's problem. So you had these clients that you could go to and say, how can I help? How can I find a solution for you?
Yeah, there's nothing more empowering than freedom. When you can free a client up to do, like I said, what they do best, then that's a value that's worth paying for.
Absolutely. So you started AVELA in China with a point of purchase displays, and you now handle a wide variety of custom manufacturing. What drove that expansion?
I kept visiting factories, and I think I always have been fascinated with how things are made and how things get done. And as sort of on this journey, I would go, wow, that's how that's done. Oh, look at that's how that's made. And I kept thinking, I need to find a client that has this need. I need to find a client that needs this made. It's kind of like the factory visits drove the clients I was looking for at first. So there's lots of categories. There's anything in plastic injection molding. There's anything in electronics. There's anything in cut and sew, like garments or cooler bags or sports gear or hunting gear, things like that. Those are all categories of things that I'm, because I've been to these factories, I feel confident and free to go out and find those clients and help solve their issues.
Yes. Now you've been able to see what the solutions are, and then you can also find the clients that's going to fit that solution and offer them something they might not have realized they had a solution for. And it makes it easier because there's somebody who already knows the market that can get it done for them. Probably a lot cheaper than if they had to try and do that research themselves.
Yeah. And it's not just the price. It's the price you pay to have to climb those learning curves. The secret to what we really do, if there's a secret sauce, would be that we have people on the ground in these countries. When you have feet on the ground, you can solve problems immediately. People in China are just like, the way they are here. They'll procrastinate and they'll hope that it works out for the best. And as we know, hope is not a business strategy. But when you have people on the ground watching these things and you see the problems before they become big problems, when they're only small problems, you can solve them. And then you can stay on your deadlines and you can still meet your price. And generally speaking, you're going to provide better quality. So having feet on the ground in these places is really the secret and secret sauce and sort of the infrastructure that's required to do a good job.
And as you also say, the time that is saved because somebody's already there with feet on the ground can find you that solution quickly rather than having to start from scratch.
That's right.
You've worked across Asia. You mentioned, offices and factories in Shanghai, Chi Minh City, Mumbai, and now you're focused on the Middle East. What drew you to Dubai specifically?
Well, I was here for a conference. And I got to know the city just a little bit. And I was looking out over the skyline and I was seeing all these construction cranes. And it reminded me of Shanghai 22 years ago. At that time, Shanghai had half of the world's construction cranes. The city was just growing in leaps and bounds. And it was infectious to see all this energy in this one place. When I was there and I saw that, I said, I've got to be part of this in some way. In my own small little way, I want to be part of that. I got to Dubai and I had that same vibe. I said, look at this place and look how it's growing and just feel the energy. It's palpable. You can just feel it and you can see it. And I just said to myself the same thing I said 23 years ago. I've just got to find a way to be part of that. So I thought this is the place for a sales office. We're not going to do manufacturing here. I know Dubai is trying to bring manufacturing here, and I can help in that regard too. But most of what happens in this town and most of what's sold in this town is made in Asia. And we can do it in a boutique way that fits the client perfectly.
Yes, in a market dominated by Chinese and Indian commodity suppliers, AVELA Global takes a different approach. What's your strategy for standing out?
Well, in my Vistage group, I had a member say, if you really want to go to Dubai and work in Dubai, you should go live there for a month. So I did that last November. I lived here for a month. And what I found out real quickly was how dominant the Indian and Chinese business culture was here in this city. And so I thought, I need to meet someone from this type of situation and have a conversation. I managed to do that. And I sat down and said, tell me about what you do. And they asked me what I did. And then they just told me, don't do it. They told me, just go home because we're not going to allow you to encroach in our territory. We're not going to allow you to take something from us that we've worked so hard for. And I thought, maybe they've got a good point. And so I said to them, I thanked them. I said, thank you very much for that information. And I think I'm more excited about coming here than ever. And they kind of looked, they sat up in the chairs and they said, why do you say that? And I said, because what you're doing here and what you've been doing here since the 70s is transactional work, transactional trading. I don't want to take that away from you. I think that's yours. I think you've earned it. I said, what I want to do is I want to do transformational business here. We can do boutique projects that reflect the character of Dubai, projects that reflect the culture of the region. So my vision is I want to find someone who wants to make shoes, maybe fashion shoes with that certain flair, that certain cultural attachment to it. Or I want to do purses, or I want to do a clothing line, or I want to do furniture. All of these things, I have all these contacts for throughout Asia, and we can make that personalized project. Because what I noticed was that Dubai is just really super close to being one of those world-class cities that you see at the hotel with the clocks on the wall: Sydney, New York, London, Paris, Los Angeles. Someone here with a great idea, and we can make that idea real. And then the other half of that equation is they have to do the marketing and run their business. But I can make the product part happen. We've done it so many times in the US.
Dubai is known for its high standards and prestige-driven market. What kind of opportunities are you seeing here for premium sourcing?
Dubai's got this, we want the best and we want the biggest, and the region does too. We've been providing that in our own way for our American clients. American clients, they have pretty high standards too. They're no stranger to luxury items. It's not difficult to go, whatever it is, whether it's a watch or whether it's shoes or whether it's garments or whether it's an invention that from whole cloth. We've done many of those things. I've made several millionaires in our history, but no matter what it is, we always make sure that it's the best it can be. That's our standard. So we're happy to meet the standard of Dubai. And I'm just wide open to learning more about what Dubai wants, and we can absolutely fulfill it.
And with your background, you have the network, the expertise to be able to take someone's vision and turn it into reality by providing the solutions that they're needing. What are some of the challenges that you've had to overcome as you grew the footprint of your business into new markets?
To answer that question, you need patience. You need to really understand where you are and why you're doing what you're doing. Look at the long picture. Approach it in that way. Don't be in a hurry. A lot of people come into a situation like this, and I like to say it's ready, fire, aim for them. And I'd rather ready, aim, fire, where I know I'm going to hit the target. So patience and confidence in what you're doing. And then, to back you up, you need the procedures and processes and systems to make sure that you can actually execute on what it is you're claiming you can do. So we have all of that. And we're in a nice position to be able to sit here and learn and develop these projects and to create something from nothing and go global with it. I've got several clients that we've helped them make their products go global. So we have a nice track record for that. And that's really what I want to do here. I want to accomplish that. And I want to meet the right kind of people. I keep thinking that there's the Emirati of this region. They had their second and third generation of children. And these people have all the fresh ideas and the new energy. And they need a way to express that. And we're part of that equation.
The key takeaway there is to have patience. You need patience to understand your why and to take a long-term view. Do the planning. Don't just head into something without actually understanding what your goal is and what your plan is. And as you also said, some systems and processes will also help with that. You mentioned there that you have helped several companies to grow globally. What tips would you give to other entrepreneurs who are thinking of expanding their businesses, whether that's within the region or into new countries or territories?
I think the first thing I would say is think big. If thinking big scares you, then maybe it's not time for you yet. But think big, stay focused on your vision. In your journey, you're going to make some changes and do some things a little different than you first envisioned. But just never lose sight of that dream that you have of where you want to be in 1 year, in 5 years, in 10 years, and stick with it. I like to say, show up. Just keep showing up. I think that's half the secret to business, is just showing up. And so many people get so close to that dream, and then they become fearful, and all the head noise and stuff like that gets to them, and then they quit when they're so close to the prize. Or sometimes they're pursuing this and it gets hard. And usually I like to say when it's getting hard, that means that you're close. So it's no time to give up now on your dream. Having said that, your dream has to have some reality to it. You have to study the market. You have to go out there and look at the competition, do your homework, and incorporate that into your vision as you move forward. But fresh ideas, new ideas, I mean, young people of today are going to decide the things that are going to happen tomorrow and in the future. So those young people who I want to help, I want to see them run and I want to see them be successful. And we can help them do that. And so that's what really drives me to be here. It's just when it happens, and I've seen it many times, it's just a beautiful thing to watch something go viral, to watch something go global, to watch 1 year when you made I have a client who made $180,000 one year, and then the next year they made $7 million because they stuck with it when it got tough because they knew their vision was right.
I think that's excellent advice. Don't give up. Even when things get hard, the secret is to keep moving. Don't ever stop. Just even if it's a small step, just keep showing up. That is the secret to success at the end of the day. Looking ahead, what's next for AVELA Global, especially in terms of your vision for long-term partnerships in Dubai and the wider Gulf region?
Yeah, I want to start working on the bigger projects, which means we have to get established here first, and then we have to build out the office, and we have to have a book of clients. Through our network, start looking for those bigger things that we can do that are, when you work on a big project, it's satisfying. Last year, we did a scaffolding order out of India for $2 million, 55 containers. And that doesn't sound real exciting, except in New York State, they built a cricket stadium out of everything that we made. And they had this giant worldwide cricket event in New York for 2 weeks. And it wasn't just scaffolding. There was a lot of custom parts. We had all the drawings and all the testing and stuff that had to go with making that project a success. They won the job, but we made it happen. And that's what I'm excited about. And I like that. And I want to see more of that.
Some exciting days ahead. Now we've come to the segment of our show where I will ask you some rapid fire questions, our version of a game show. Are you ready?
As ready as I'll ever be.
What's your favorite city?
Shanghai.
Lovely. How do you define your leadership style?
I'm laid back and I let people make decisions.
What's harder, launching a startup or maintaining global quality control?
Launching a startup.
Coffee order when you're on the factory floor?
I'm very boring. I don't drink alcohol. I don't drink coffee. I don't smoke. Don't do drugs. I just focus on what I like, and that's my business and my family. And I leave it there. Life is good.
Excellent. What does partnership mean to you?
Give and take, cooperation, transparency.
What is one thing you do every day, no matter how busy you get?
Every day at 5 o'clock, I get up without the lights on, and I go over to my desk and I open my iPad and I journal before I do anything else. Because that's the time of day when you're most creative, before the noise of the day interferes with your creativity. No big deal. And then some days there's gold. But you never get the gold unless you have a process like that, at least for me. So that's what I do every day.
Well, thank you for playing along. That was easy enough. Could you share an inspiring or life-changing experience that you have gone through, your green pill moment?
In 1987, after I'd started my company, I was just getting traction in China. And after 3 or 4 years, I started paying myself for the first time. I paid all my vendors and all my employees, but hadn't made a paycheck yet. So I was very excited about that. And then one day I noticed blood in my urine, went to the doctor, and I had cancer. And the diagnosis was that I would have 3 years to live and they wouldn't be good years. It kind of gets your affairs in order kind of thing. And so, my attitude towards that was, don't have time for this. I have too much I want to do. I did everything the doctors wanted me to do. I accepted all the prayers that I could find. I did a deep dive into my cancer to find out exactly what it was I was fighting. I learned how to meditate. I learned how to eat properly. And I went through a pretty grueling chemotherapy, and then finally an operation where they cut me from my sternum to pubic bone and pulled out all my organs and scraped my lymph nodes out of my torso and shoved everything back in. And the idea was that maybe they got all the cancer. And they did. It was a tough time, as you could imagine. And what was important to me is I went to my clients and I said, this is what I have. This is my prognosis. Every client said to me, what can I do to help? And my only answer then was, just keep ordering. And they did. And I had faith in them, and I had faith in God, and I had faith in me. And MD Anderson Hospital in Houston, Texas, I'm the only known survivor at stage of the cancer that I had way back then. And it taught me so many things about life and about what's important and about positivity. And, and I just took a deep dive while I had all this time into the questions that I thought someday I'm going to get around to thinking about this or doing something about that. And I had all the time to do that in the world. And what I tell people is that it was a good experience, not a bad experience. Unless it killed me, then that would have sucked.
Wow. What an incredible story. What an incredible experience. I've never heard of anyone who survived stage 4 cancer. That is absolutely incredible. Well, thank you so much for sharing that very personal story with us. Also, thank you for joining me today. Your story from the lens of a camera to the front lines of global sourcing to surviving cancer is a perfect example of how vision, trust, and faith can build not just companies, but enduring partnerships.
I was just going to say, Hill Marie, I really appreciate being here. I hope I did well on my first Dubai podcast.
You did excellently. I've so loved this conversation with you. So much for me to learn from you. Some of those lessons that you've got for our audience is absolutely on the money. I love it. Before we wrap up, where can our listeners learn more about AVELA Global and connect with you directly?
Well, I like simple, so the website is www.avela. I'll spell it A as in Apple, V as in Victor, E-L-A, avela.com. And that's the website. My email address is young, my last name, Y-O-U-N-G, @avela.com. And you can email me directly there. I answer any and all questions, silly questions, important questions, curious questions. I know a lot about a little, and I'm more than happy to share.
Super. Thank you for that. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Matrix Greenfield Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. It really helps us to grow. Until next time, think big, stay focused, and partner with purpose.
If you enjoy our conversations, please like and subscribe. See you next Wednesday.